Tell you what, we come back and everyone's slaughtered, I owe you a Coke.
Being the longest-running animated sitcom in history, The Simpsons know a thing or two about making some memorable parodies. You'd be hard-pressed to find an episode that doesn't reference something in pop culture, which is why putting this list together was so tough. But through all the episodes, 10 movie parodies stood out as legendary. They are so memorable that when you see the actual movies, chances are you think of these Simpson parodies. To start things off, we have to go to the season 6 premiere titled Bart of Darkness, which in itself is a parody of the novel Heart of Darkness. That novel would go on to inspire Apocalypse Now. In the episode, Bart breaks his leg and is forced into isolation in his bedroom. To help pass the time, he begins using a telescope to spy on the town.
I'll use this to peer into Springfield's seamy underbelly.
This is where he believes that he saw Flanders dispose of Maud. The idea of Bart spying on his neighbors while confined to a room is heavily inspired by the Alfred Hitchcock film Rear Window.
Grace, come here. There's a sinister-looking kid I want you to see.
James Stewart's character in the movie, L.B. Jeffries, shows up twice in the episode. The pictures on the wall of his room are the same as the ones in the movie. Some of the shots of Bart using the telescope are near duplicates of what Hitchcock produced in the movie. And of course, the themes of paranoia and voyeurism are both featured heavily here. Thankfully, Flanders was in the clear by the end. When it comes to iconic figures so spooky they've created a legacy, none is more influential than Count Dracula. There are dozens upon dozens of movies featuring the vampire, some of them iconic and some of them are, well, less so. One of the more memorable ones, though, was Francis Ford Coppola's adaptation of the original novel. The movie starred Gary Oldman as the title character and co-starred Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, and Anthony Hopkins. Part of what made this movie memorable, even if it isn't the definitive Dracula movie, is the visuals used throughout. In Treehouse of Horror 4, The Simpsons bring us Bart Simpson's Dracula, an adaptation of both the novel and Coppola's movie. Some shots are near duplicates from the movie, including a giant Mr. Burns as the vampire superimposed in the sky. Burns also sports the iconic hairdo of the elder Dracula once inside the castle. Burns' shadow also acts independently of the body, much like what happened in the movie. You've heard it before, but the older Halloween specials really are a blast to watch.
Television! Teacher! Mother!
Secret lover.
Considered by many to be one of the best supernatural films of all time, although not by author Stephen King, The Shining has stood the test of time.
What do you want me to do about it?
Which means it's ripe for a parody from The Simpsons. The show got to parody the movie from end to end during a segment in Treehouse of Horror 5. From the opening seconds, the block is dedicated to spoofing the movie. We see The Simpsons trapped in a gigantic hotel in a snowstorm, complete with a hedge maze and a ballroom.
Mom, is Dad gonna kill us? We're just gonna have to wait and see.
Bart has a psychic friend, one who shines, who in this case happens to be groundskeeper Willie. In each of the 3 segments in this special, Willie unfortunately gets it.
Ugh, I'm bad at this.
Homer also goes to the bar to talk to ghosts. We get Marge swinging a bat at Homer, while he ends up breaking the door down "Here's Johnny" style. Homer and Marge also get to say the now classic line, "No TV and no beer make Homer something something."
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do.
The Godfather is considered by many film critics and fans to be one of the greatest movies of all time, if not the greatest.
Never tell anybody outside the family what you're thinking again.
So, with all that in mind, you can bet The Simpsons saw fit to parody the movie. In fact, The Simpsons have made fun of The Godfather a couple of times. Let's start off with the episode titled The Strong Arm of the Ma. After getting mugged, Marge muscles up with a lot of juice and confronts her assailant. The manner of her beating him up is a shot-for-shot remake of the scene in the first Godfather with Sonny. Likewise, Bart getting destroyed by a flurry of snowballs harkens to the scene where Sonny meets his end. This scene is more accurately duplicated by Cletus. When Michael closes the door on Lisa during the Mook, the Chef, the Wife, and her Homer, it's a direct nod to the closing shot of the first Godfather movie, which sees Michael Corleone closing the door on Kay. For this particular entry, we have to jump ahead to season 27 of the series. We know that the show isn't as popular or as acclaimed as it once was with these seasons, but there is still a solid Boyhood parody to be found here. Boyhood was the movie that filmed over the course of 14 years, allowing the actors to naturally age as the film's runtime advanced. It was a unique and memorable experience, and The Simpsons found a way to bring that experience to the small screen. The episode titled Barthood follows many years in the life of Bart Simpson. The episode opens up with him at age 6 in the year 2012 and follows him until he's grown up in the year 2026. The episode still relies on a lot of familiar Simpsons trappings when it comes to viewing the future, such as who Lisa is dating in the future, in this case Nelson, and Bart feeling sidelined by his smarter sister. But the episode is still a fun homage for fans of Richard Linklater's movie. There was a time when a Simpsons episode featuring Sideshow Bob was a guaranteed treat. The homicidal clown, determined to eliminate Bart Simpson, makes some more of the iconic and memorable episodes. That being said, the one where they spoof the Martin Scorsese film Cape Fear is the gold standard of Sideshow Bob episodes. The convicted entertainer, with love and hate tattooed on his fingers, is released from prison on parole. The tattoos, by the way, are a nod to the movie Night of the Hunters. This forces the Simpsons family to go into the witness protection program as they fear Bob will immediately begin his hunt for Bart. The Simpsons have taken refuge in a boathouse, which is what happened in the Scorsese remake of the original movie. Bob sitting in the cinema chomping on a cigar while laughing to the annoyance of the people behind him is straight up Robert De Niro. Of course, there is more to love in this episode than just a great movie parody.
That's German for the Bart. The.
No one who speaks German could be an evil man.
Who can forget the gag that sees Bob getting smacked in the face by a series of rakes? There's a new James Bond movie on the horizon, which means this is the perfect time to talk about the excellent 007 parody in The Simpsons. Like The Godfather, The Simpsons has spoofed the British spy numerous times. That being said though, we're gonna focus on one of the best for this entry, which is arguably the episode You Only Move Twice. This episode sees Homer taking on a new job at Globex Corporation in Cypress Creek. But what Homer doesn't know is that his boss is actually a James Bond-level supervillain.
Homer, on your way out, if you want to kill somebody, it would help me a lot.
That boss was the one and only Scorpio, voiced by Albert Brooks. Scorpio is a fan favorite and one of the most beloved one-time Simpsons characters. He's a typical Bond villain, blowing stuff up while having a troop of deadly women around him. While the episode is named after You Only Live Twice, the classic laser scene from Goldfinger is particularly memorable. It even ends with Homer tackling Bond after he escapes. Kubrick movies will vary in quality depending on who you ask, but no matter if you love or hate his material, his movies are ripe for parody. So it's no surprise that The Simpsons would tip their hat to the movie more than once. We'll cover two in this entry. The first one we'll cover is Deep Space Homer, which sees Homer becoming an astronaut and heading to space. We hear the Blue Danube in this episode as Homer chomps on chips. Bart throwing a pen in the air, which cuts to a satellite evoking the bone-tossing scene from the movie, and the episode ending with a giant baby that will make sense to those who have seen 2001. That episode's itchy and scratchy clip even has a connection to 2001, with the pods in the show resembling the ones from Discovery 1. The House of Wax segment sees Pierce Brosnan taking on the role of Hal from 2001, the AI who tries to eliminate the conspiring humans. Time for Tarantino love. The prolific and sometimes controversial director may not have won any awards personally at the 2020 Oscars, but he did win Best Director when he made Pulp Fiction. Many people consider that movie to be the director's best, so you can bet that The Simpsons had a lot of fun parodying that one.
That's all you had to say.
The episode in question is called 22 Short Stories About Springfield. While Pulp Fiction has 4 short stories throughout, this episode follows 22 unique vignettes that are all interconnected to each other. Of course, not all 22 are a reference to the Tarantino movie, but there are clear and obvious references nonetheless. After catching up with the 3 Springfield cops at a diner where quarter pounders with cheese are brought up, Wiggum gets some donuts. When we see him next, he's crossing the street holding a pink box, not not unlike Marcellus Wallace does in the movie. After chasing Snake down, the duo end up in the basement of a military antique shop, much like how Wallace and Butch do at Zed's Locale in the movie. For our final entry, let's head back to Season 5 and cap things off with one of the most epic movies of all time. While the many sequels have been duds, Terminator 2 Judgment Day is considered to be one of the best action films of all time and one of the best sequels. The episode Homer Loves Flanders sees Homer befriending Flanders, a character he usually hates with a passion. Upon winning tickets to a football game, Flanders invites Homer to the game, pays for the food, and even gives Homer the game ball.
You will be called Stitch Face.
Homer ends up being extra kind to Flanders, which begins to set him on edge. The beloved Homer entering and exiting the bushes meme is similar to the T-1000 passing through the gates. When Homer asks Flanders if he wants to play some golf, Flanders cracks and flees. Homer chases after the car in a direct imitation of the T-1000 from T2, complete with Homer using the golf clubs to hook onto the back of the moving car. In the movie, the Terminator uses metal blades, but the golf clubs do the trick just fine.
So long, Stinktown!
What is your favorite Simpson parody on this list? What episode or show did The Simpsons not parody yet that you can think of? We personally love the Shining spoof from the Halloween special. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in your playlist every day. Thanks for watching.